Hey guys, Jake here from Contrarian Daily, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the art of the debate. Now, we live in a time where we are politically divided more than ever before, and there is absolutely zero shortages of things to debate about. So obviously, when we are engaging in these conversations, we don't want to make them tense and we don't want to make them a fight. We want the ultimate outcome to be peace and understanding. If you feel like you have a point of view that you want to get across to somebody, the best way that you can do it is to understand how to converse with people and how to change people's minds and win friends in debates rather than just having a war of words. So the way I've done this is that I've broken it down into what I believe are the 7 key pillars of the debate, or having a conversation where you would like to change somebody's mind. So the first pillar is body language. Guys, when we're having a conversation, in terms of body language, what we want to be doing is looking relaxed. We want to be easy and relaxed and not looking like you're posing a threat and not being aggressive. If your posture is forwards and you look intense with your shoulder hunched forward, then you can come across as very aggressive and you're not going to win anybody over, because if you're aggressive, then they're automatically going to be on the defense themselves. Ideally, if you're sitting down and having this conversation, you want to sit back in your seat, be nice and relaxed, open up your chest. You don't want to have your shoulders forward, open up your chest. That means, it signifies that you're open to ideas and you're open to conversation and you're not a threat. Secondly, this is something that I do quite regularly. It's keeping your hands away from your face, okay? The tempting thing to do is to stroke your chin like a wise man, or scratch your nose, or touch your forehead. But ideally, you want to keep your hands useful during the conversation. You don't want to have them behind your back, but you don't want to have them on your face. You can be expressive with your hands, but don't be always touching your face. This is because sometimes it can actually express malintent. If you are covering your face, it's like you're trying to hide something. And furthermore, it does make you look quite insecure. Pillar number 2, build rapport. Now, this is something that's incredibly important during a conversation. And building rapport is actually something that's rather easy to do. And obviously there are different types of conversations and debates you're going to get in. But let's say we're having a conversation at the dinner table with a family friend. Obviously, there's going to be some sort of rapport there. It can be another mutual friend, it can be an experience from childhood, it can be a place that you've both been to, or any sort of commonality that you have. It's best at the start of the conversation, when you can feel that there's some sort of a political disagreement that might be brewing, bring it back to something that's common. Make sure that both of you understand that there is rapport there. Furthermore, in terms of building rapport, what you want to try and do is understand your opposite's point deeply. So that doesn't mean sitting there and looking in their general direction and just nodding and then just waiting to speak and jump in yourself. And these people are very unpleasant to have conversations with. The kinds of people that are always just waiting to jump in, and it makes you feel anxious when you're trying to make your point, because you know that they're not listening to you, they're just waiting to speak. We've all had these conversations before, and maybe you've even done this yourself, and it absolutely gets you nowhere. Another good thing you can do is to ask questions. So whatever they say, you'll want to repeat it back. So if they make a point, let's just bring the pandemic into it for a second. If they say they've gotten the juice because of their sick relative, you can then say it in your own words. So you're saying, what you're trying to say is that you're getting this juice because you have a sick mother and you're really worried about her. So you're not necessarily doing it for yourself, but you see getting it as more of a selfless action. I totally understand your point of view, but have you thought about this? And then that's when you'd bring in your point. Body language can also be really important in building rapport as well, because once again, if you're leaning forward, looking aggressive and looking combative, then you're not going to build any rapport. So you want to be nice and relaxed. And what I also like to do is nod. I like to let them finish their point, let them agonize over that point if they need to, and nod my head. I like to scrunch up my face and show that I'm engaged and I actually care. And that will actually reflect to that person that you do care and that you're listening to them and that this is a productive conversation and it's not a battle. Pillar number 3, drip feed your perspectives. By this, I mean, if you might have 10 facts that you are just so eager to throw out, you've been doing your research, you've been reading books, you've been reading articles, but now it is time. Game day has come, you've been waiting to have this conversation or this debate with somebody, you've been waiting to use these skills that you've learned, and you're just wanting to get it all out there. Stop, pause, relax, Think about how you're going to ease these ideas into the conversation. You don't want to throw it down all at once. Guys, if we're building a house, we don't want to grab a bunch of brick and mortar and throw it at dirt. You won't build anything beautiful like that. What you want to do is build the pillars, okay? You want to build the foundations. And the best way to do that in a conversation is to drip feed your ideas. What you don't want to be doing is throwing them all at once, because people will get automatically defensive, okay? If you're basically saying you're wrong and this is why I'm right, I've got this fact, this fact, this fact, this fact, the conversation won't be productive at all, and you're not likely to change anybody's mind. So drip feed your arguments. Another reason why this is so effective is because you can actually change people's mind by giving them a little bit of time to process what you've just said. If you give 10 facts at once, no human being is going to be able to process all of that. But if you slowly give them facts and then you ask open-ended questions that might enable them to then dismantle their own perspectives in their own head, and it might actually be an enjoyable experience for them to see a new perspective. Pillar number 4, do not lose your cool. Now, this is one that I've been guilty of many times, especially when you're having arguments with family or friends or having debates with people. It's quite easy to lose your cool, especially when you feel like A, you're not being listened to, and B, the arguments that people are making are ridiculous. And we've all been in these situations before. The most important thing to do is to not come across as aggressive. And you really don't want to get emotional about your arguments. Try your best to detach yourself from emotion and to try and be as logical and rational as possible. And this ties into everything else, because you've built the rapport, you've shown the good body language, you're drip feeding your arguments in a respectful way that is palatable for them, and now you're nice and calm. And this builds up the whole persona that you'd like to embody during a conversation. Furthermore, your voice is very important. The tonality of your voice is extremely important. You don't want to be agitated and aggressive, and you don't want to be insulting. Be nice and relaxed. Be calculated. Take your time when you speak. You don't want to rush yourself. You don't want to be speaking like this and trying to get out all the information. Nice and relaxed, sitting back. This is nothing. It's just a conversation. And sometimes the best tactic for this is to just act like you're talking about what's for dinner. Trick your mind into thinking you're talking about what's for dinner. You're not talking about a politically charged subject. Last thing on this, do not attack the person, attack the idea. This is incredibly important, because the way that the conversations degenerate and they become completely unproductive is when people start attacking the person and making personal remarks rather than attacking the idea. There's obviously, if you're having this conversation, there'll be plenty of subject matter with the idea, and there'll also probably be plenty of subject matter with the person, but avoid that at all costs. You want to focus on the ideas at hand. Pillar number 5, avoid logical fallacies. Now, for those of you who don't know what logical fallacies are, they're basically when you try and get a point across using bad logic. And that's the simplest way to really describe it in my mind. There are many, many different examples of bad logic. I've actually done a whole video about this, so you can check that out, and I'm going to leave that link in the description. A couple of the logical fallacies that are most common, and you might not know the name for them, but you've definitely seen them done. First of all, a straw man. A straw man is when somebody takes what you've said and they perceive it in a completely different way and then attack you for the way that they've perceived it. An example of this could be a topic like immigration. You might say you believe in strong border control, and then somebody might say to you, oh, you're a racist, you don't want refugees in here, you don't care about anyone but yourself. That's a straw man, because you didn't actually say that. That's got nothing to do with what you said, but somebody has turned your argument into something that it's not and is now attacking you for that. So that's an example of how you can spot out a straw man. Another example of a logical fallacy can be seen through arguments from authority. Now, we've all encountered these. It's when somebody says, well, I'm a teacher, so I should know about that. Or I'm a doctor, so I actually know about this. Or I'm a lawyer, so you can't challenge me on that. This is one that's really common. People use it all the time. And we all know, guys, there are a lot of people out there who have a university degree that are as dumb as dog shit, and that's just a fact. So when somebody tries to make an argument from authority to you, it's really important to call that out, and it's very easy to do as well. All you say is, that's great, good for you, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, whatever it is, but make a good point. You're not making a good point right now. Just the fact alone that you are of this profession or that you have this life experience doesn't make your idea or your perspectives any better. Pillar number 6, don't be afraid to be wrong or give compliments. Now, this pillar is something that is very often lost when arguments get heated at all, because people all of a sudden start arguing for perspectives that they didn't even really want to be defending, and then everyone's trying to trap each other, and then a screaming match ensues. But this can all be avoided if you simply give credit where credit's due. And a good way to do this is to say, hey, that's actually a really good point. I haven't thought about it that way, and I'm definitely going to do more research on that. Can you send me a link to the article? Furthermore, giving compliments is also a really great thing. People obviously love hearing compliments, and especially in the middle of an argument, it's a great way to build rapport once again. The best way to give compliments is to compliment people on their points of view, on the research that they've done, on their thoughtfulness, etc. Don't be afraid to just stop the conversation sometimes and be like, wow, that was really thoughtful, I haven't thought about that. Or, wow, you've really done a lot of research on this. Or, what books are you reading? Because I would love to read them too. And the last pillar that I've got is sometimes, guys, you just have to stop, pause, and bring it back to amicable terms. Because we all know that debates and conversations get heated like that. We've all been a part of them. We've all been at dinner tables where people are arguing and you're sitting back in your seat and downing a few red wines. Or maybe you've been a part of those conversations as well. The best way to cut that tension is to just say, hey, look, I know this is a heated debate, but I actually really love having this conversation with you, and I respect all of the research that you've done, and it's good to be able to have these conversations, don't you think? Because people are, not really engaging with ideas these days, so it's awesome to have this conversation. That kind of breaks the tension, and it makes somebody realize that you're not there to crush them. You enjoy having the conversations, and it doesn't have to be something that's hurtful for somebody. So that's my 7 pillars in regards to the art of the debate. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and wherever you're watching, please make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share the video around, and then stay tuned for lots more content to come. From the Contrarian Daily, I'm Jake Julius. Thank you very much.